Hello, dear friends, dear family. As we are moving more deeply now into the winter, I'm reminded so strongly of the ebb and the flow of life, the ebb and the flow of winter, and for our family in the Southern Hemisphere as they move towards their summer. As one side of the earth moves inwards, the other side begins to spread out, the inner and the outer, just like our breath, breathing in, breathing out, like the waves moving in and flowing out, and how everything around us reflects that. Everything in life reflects the ebb and the flow. And from the first breath of the newborn, when they breathe for the first time, just for themselves, until the last breath, the flow in of life through breath and the releasing of life through the breath. And how all of life reflects this. And yet, within the ebb and the flow, there is a space that is held. And that space can go from seconds to even perhaps a minute in our breathing, as we breathe in and hold within that space, and breathing out. Holding again within that space before we breathe in again. That space between the ebb and the flow, that space which we can claim and begin to awaken more to our consciousness, more to the choices we make when we become conscious, moving from reaction, for example, to response. When something happens, we can freeze, we can move quickly, and yet with the breath, we can take and make decisions at that point that do not have to be reflected upon the experiences that we have gone through in our lives. We can take a conscious choice, a conscious decision, and moving from the unconscious into the conscious, from the instinctive into the intellect, from the reactive into the response, takes 1, 2 breaths, and the holding, perhaps just the count of 3 between the breaths, gifting us the opportunity to see, to recognize, to acknowledge, to respond. Isn't nature teaching that to us all around us? Looking at how the earth flows and grows, how the trees respond to all that is happening around them, from the electromagnetic currents to deep down within the earth, to what is feeding into the roots. And what feeds us? What feeds our roots? Well, for me, it's the ancestors. The ancestors are our roots. They are what we have grown from. And how do we connect with them? How do we acknowledge them? For we're still now in the time of Samhain, the time when the veil has been thin between the realm of the ancestors and ourselves, and recognizing what we carry in honor of them. and how we can grow forth from that and through that to making conscious choices for ourselves, so we're not held within the instinctive patterns coming through from the ancestors. But we can choose to work with them. We can choose to release them. We can choose to honor them. Whatever it is that is needed and necessary, that we grow on into becoming conscious, to taking choice. Right now, the earth here in the Northern Hemisphere, as it is ebbing, slowing down, it is reflecting to us also that we too need to slow down. We too need to take time for ourselves. And can we do that? I know the last 18 and 20 months has been fostered upon us to slow down, to stay within. Can we find beauty in that? Can we find grace within that for ourselves? Can we recognize how important it is in our lives personally to have times of moving inwards, our ebb, as much as times of going outwards and allowing the energies to flow? And if you live in a family situation or in a relationship, to acknowledge and respect their need, perhaps now too, to have time and space for reflection. For the wheel turns, and soon enough we'll be through the solstice and moving towards Imbolc and the slow awakening again of the earth. And for those in the Southern Hemisphere, it's time enough for you to move towards your midsummer, enjoying all that flowers around you, all the beauty and the succulence, before you begin to move towards the autumn. Can we actually acknowledge that right now, perhaps we need this on a personal level, on a family level, a community level, a world level? So much is breaking down around us. And we have the opportunity to dream how the earth is meant to be, to dream her dream of what will be. I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. We are the seeds of the seeds of the seeds. We are here to dream her into being for those yet to be. And in this time of moving inwards, perhaps we can recognize on a personal level what no longer works for us, what we perhaps haven't released. Maybe it's regret, maybe it's resentment. But letting go, that outer breath, that letting go, so you can give yourself space to move in, space to move forward when you begin again to flow. Much, much love and many, many blessings. Sha.